Now I get to have some fun. Okay.
Hold on to your seat, Ron. Here we go.
Now, Jeff, I know you don't remember this, and you probably just threw in the trash with all the other nutty articles and stuff that you get in the mail, but I sent you an email. I don't even remember how long ago it was, 8-9 months ago, and I titled it Small Business Success and Growth in North Carolina. Actually, I do know why I sent it to you, because I went to the Lieutenant Governor's roundtable discussion, and I listened.
Remember it.
I know it's hard for y'all to believe, but I just listened, right? I didn't talk, right?
Man.
And I was dying to talk.
Everybody mark this day on your calendar.
Right.
He admitted it.
So as I was listening, I was jotting down some of the things. If I were king of North Carolina, some of the things I would do. So now I have two very important people in North Carolina, so I can't help myself. I'm going to read some of these things that I believe would help the success of small, hear the word, small business grow in North Carolina, and you guys tell me whether you like them or not, and be sensitive if you don't, okay?
Be gentle. Be gentle.
There's 20 of them. We're not going to get to 20. Let me just pick a few out. You guys can tell what you think. Okay, some of these you guys might already be doing in some capacity, and I want our listeners to be able to hear that. The first thing I had on my list was create a task force or committee. You know, Jeff, when you used to be mayor, you used to be made fun of for that.
I was the task force mayor.
I know you are, and I like that, actually. An advisory boards of such for each major industry in North Carolina so you guys can actually hear what they believe is happening. And when I say industry, I don't mean the big, successful guys that right now we believe have access to you, and we small business people don't. I'm lucky that I'm sitting in a room with both of you guys. Don't think I don't know that. So what do you think of the concept of some sort of an advisory board that can, of small business people, that can actually give and feed you guys information and improve communication between government and small business? Because so many times you guys make choices and decisions, but you only, because you can't possibly know all these industries, you only hear the information from the big business side, and there really is a small business area. And in sometimes, guys, I hate to tell you this, big business actually doesn't want small business to succeed. So sometimes the information you're getting is really hurting us small businesses. What do you think about that one? Jeff, you want to go first?
Sure, I'll chime in. First of all, I love the idea.
Hey, I got one.
No, this is a good one, but it depends on the
Of course
degree.
you would, because it was a task force, John.
Exactly. That's what we do. Because, again, we're not necessarily the ones that have all the answers, nor living it day to day. And we do it kind of informally. We had a small business group, Joe, you and I were using to get some input, even as when I was mayor. There's groups we meet, like the craft brewers, an issue right now. It's
right.
A group of small businesses trying to grow. We meet with them frequently. Matter of fact, I was with a group of 4 or 5 owners this week to kind of understand their issues and how, you know, we can assist them. They can guide us as we're dealing with legislation. And more importantly, primary role we should be doing is how do we get out of their way?
Yes. And John, you want to talk about that a little bit? Because I do find this to be an important, especially because you guys spend so much time now in Raleigh. Mm-hmm. Now, before you guys were in it. You were in the trenches. I saw you guys every day, and I know you guys are small business people, and you were plugged into your communities. But now your community got larger. And so now when people are knocking on your door, it's not Joe to talk about a $10,000 issue. It's Bob talking about a $500,000 issue. Can you talk a little bit about your thoughts on some sort of advisory board for each major industry?
Well, I mean, most certainly anytime, you can get a group of people together that are aligned in their thinking and then can sort of aggregate their issues and bring it to us. In Raleigh is a great thing. I will say there's NFIB, which is the group for independent business.
Yes,
and
we get them on the show often.
Okay,
we love them, yeah.
So they usually are the voice for what I'd say small independent business. That's what I am. I'm a small independent business. So as far as an advisory board, I think it's a great idea. The challenge is, and this is a lot of small business owners, they're so focused on their business, it's sometimes hard to get away to do those types of things.
Yeah.
So you have to make sure that if there is going to be a group, an advisory board, that the members who join that board are committed, or at least their business is at a point where they really can get away. Because if it's sort of a start stop, then it's not consistent.
But
that's right. But I will say, and Jeff, I know will agree with this. In Raleigh, some of the very best legislative ideas come from that example you just used of someone with a $10,000 problem.
Right.
And I always welcome, and Jeff does too, because Jeff's marvelous at it. Come see us. Tell us what you're experiencing.
Right.
And we might be able to do legislation around it. You don't have to have a giant lobbyist. You don't have to be a big business. We take ideas from anyone. So just make the trip to Raleigh, call our office, come see us, and we'll ask lots of questions, but no idea is off limits.
Right.
And anyone can bring it to the table.
Jeff, you and I ran into that problem when we put together the Mayor's Small Business Advisory. What I tried to do, which I thought was going to work for you, was create this email process where you could email questions and get responses. But you really didn't get a lot of response back from that email process, which surprised me. So John's right. If they just don't have the time or don't think their opinion matters, then you don't really get the feedback that you need.
Well, and part of it is it's a personal touch. So those groups and activities tend to usually work better where you're picking up a phone one-on-one, sitting in front around a breakfast group is what I found have bigger success.
Okay. I'm going to ask you another one, and then we're going to take a break, and then we'll come back. Sure. Why can't we have a additional infrastructure incentive for small businesses? Big business gets this stuff all the time. I talk with Ryan with Economic Development for Lake Norman, and these incentives are based on percentages. The problem is my little building, that I want to build. Once I get an incentive from the government, it's such a small number. It really doesn't bring me to the area, right? Why can't we have some sort of infrastructure incentive, a turn lane, the walkway that connects with some other things, some type of things that work for businesses that say are building a building at a certain size, which would be on the smaller side instead of a larger side. What's wrong with that idea? John, you got an opinion on that?
Well, it's a great idea. The challenge is always about getting support for an idea like that. And there is sort of an ideology about, small business is the backbone of North Carolina. It's the backbone of America for that matter. And so, I think there's this high level of thinking, both at federal level and even that I've seen in Raleigh, where you look at tax reform and you're trying to do things across the board, by lowering personal income tax, because many small business owners, their businesses are single member managed LLCs.
Right.
Therefore, their income, they file as individuals. So if you lower the tax base for individuals, it's helping a lot of small business owners. And so, I understand what you're saying, and I'm all about trying to create ways. As a small business owner, I'm very sensitive to it.
Sure.
The problem, though, is we have 170 people in Raleigh, 50 in the Senate, 120 in the House, and I got to get 61 people to agree on something. And incentives, whether it be a big company, little company, those are usually touchy topics. But I've renewable energy, for example, and incentives. I've supported it, and sometimes get beat up for it because people say, "Oh, we shouldn't be doing it." But the reality is, I believe you have to make investments in things, and investing in small business owners is never a bad thing.